Let me ask you a question that might make you uncomfortable. Think back 10 years. Are you today where you dreamed you would be then? For most people, the honest answer is no. And the terrifying truth is, if nothing changes 10 years from now, you will likely be in the very same place you are today, only 10 years older, carrying 10 more years of quiet regret. We have been infected with the disease of someday. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll write that book. But for most, someday is a destination that never arrives. This is not another video about motivation. This is an intervention. This is a rescue mission for the future you've been putting on hold. In the next 60 minutes, we will not just talk about goals. We will give you the architectural blueprint to redesign your life. The next decade of your life will pass whether you plan it or not. The decision you make in this very moment to stay and do the work is the first, most critical step in ensuring those years are not wasted. Are you ready to stop drifting and start designing? My friends, let us begin our time together today by discussing the single most important subject a person can ever study. It is a subject more critical than mathematics, more fundamental than history, and more essential than any science. It is the subject of your own life and how it is constructed. You see, I have discovered in my travels and my years of observation that there are fundamentally only two ways to approach the brief, precious time we are given on this earth. There are only two paths one can walk. The first path is wide, it is well trodden, and it is crowded with the vast majority of people. This is the path of the drifter. The drifter's life is governed by a simple yet devastating philosophy: to accept life as it comes. The drifter is a passenger in their own vessel. They stand on the deck, feeling the winds of circumstance push them this way and that. They celebrate when the wind is favorable, and they curse their luck when the seas turn rough. But it never, ever occurs to them to step into the pilot house, to firmly grasp the wheel, to consult the map, and to set a deliberate course for a chosen destination. The drifter's life is a life of reaction. They react to their boss. They react to the news. They react to their bills. They react to the opinions of their friends. Their existence is a series of unplanned, unconscious responses to external forces. And they wonder why, year after year, decade after decade, they find themselves washed ashore on the same barren islands, the isle of unfulfilled promises, the isle of financial struggle, the isle of quiet regret. But then, my friends, there is a second path. This path is narrow. It is often solitary at first. It requires effort to walk upon. This is the path of the architect. The architect understands a profound and liberating truth, that a life is not something to be merely accepted, but something to be built. The architect sees their life as the grandest of all constructions, the most magnificent cathedral they will ever have the honor of creating. They know that every thought is a blueprint, every choice is a brick, and every action is the mortar that holds it all together. The architect's life is a life of creation. It is a life of intention. They understand that the winds of circumstance blow on us all, the same winds of sorrow, of opportunity, of disaster, of fortune. It is not the blowing of the wind that determines our destination. It is the setting of the sail. The architect spends their time not cursing the wind, but mastering the art of setting their sail. Today, our singular purpose is to leave the crowded, comfortable path of the drifter and to take our first powerful steps onto the path of the architect. Because the most incredible truth is this: the choice of which path to walk is entirely and unequivocally yours. Now, before we can begin to build, we must first understand the forces that keep us on the drifter's path. Why do so many good, sincere, hardworking people end up living lives of quiet desperation? I have found that there are three primary thieves that rob us of our potential to become architects of our destiny. The first and most powerful of these is what I call the tyranny of circumstance. This is the belief that your past and your present dictate your future. The drifter looks at their life and says, well, this is just how it is. I was born in this town. This is the education I received. This is the job I have. These are my limitations. They see their life as a fixed reality, a prison whose walls are built from the bricks of their history. Imagine a small boat tied to a massive ancient dock with a thick, heavy rope. The boat can move, yes, but only a few feet in any direction. It is a prisoner of the rope and the dock. This is how most people live. The rope is their past failures. The dock is their current environment. And they spend their lives bobbing in the same small circle, believing the rope is unbreakable. But the architect knows a secret. The architect knows that they are holding the knife. They know that the past is a place of learning, not a place of living. It is a school, not a prison. The architect understands that it doesn't matter where you are coming from. The only thing that truly matters is where you have decided to go. Radical responsibility is the knife that cuts the rope. It is the understanding that you are not a victim of your life. You are the source of your life. It is the moment you stop blaming your circumstances and start using them as the raw material for your future. The second thief, and a far more subtle one, is the sedation of routine. Human beings are creatures of habit. Our routines give us comfort, predictability, and a sense of security. But comfort, my friends, can be a velvet coffin, a comfortable, plush, and deadly prison for your ambition. The drifter's life is defined by the unexamined routine. They wake up at the same time, drive the same route, do the same work, watch the same shows, and have the same conversations day after day. Their life is not a grand adventure, it is a loop. And in this loop, there is no room for growth, no space for challenge, no air for dreams to breathe. The greatest danger is not abject failure. The greatest danger is living a life that is just okay, just fine. It's not terrible enough to provoke massive change, but it's not good enough to bring any real fulfillment. It is the lukewarm existence that sedates the soul. The architect, however, practices the art of deliberate awareness. The architect understands that you cannot change what you do not first acknowledge. They step outside of their routine and become an observer. They audit their day. They ask the hard questions. Is this habit serving my future, or is it merely comforting my present? Is this activity an investment, or is it an expense? Is this hour I am spending moving me closer to my goals, or is it just another hour gone forever? To escape the sedation of routine, you must be willing to disrupt your own comfort. You must be willing to introduce new disciplines, new challenges, and new ideas into your life. You must choose the invigorating discomfort of growth over the deadly comfort of stagnation. And finally, the third thief is the noise of the crowd. From the moment we are born, we are surrounded by voices. The voices of our parents, our teachers, our friends, our society. They all have a plan for us, a script they want us to follow. Go to a good school, get a safe job, buy a house, work for 40 years, retire. That is the path to a good life. It is a well-meaning script, but it is someone else's script. The drifter navigates by the noise of the crowd. Their self-worth is tied to the approval of others. Their decisions are based on what is popular, what is safe, what is expected. They are like a ship without a compass, trying to find their way by listening to the conflicting shouts from 100 other boats. The result is confusion, compromise, and a destination they never consciously chose. The architect, on the other hand, develops an unwavering intention. They understand that to build a magnificent life, you must first have a clear blueprint. A personal, unique, and deeply meaningful blueprint. This blueprint, my friends, is what we call goals. A goal is your personal North Star. It is a source of direction that is internal, not external. When you have a clear, written, well-defined goal, the noise of the crowd begins to fade. The opinions of others become secondary. The pressure to conform vanishes. Why? Because you know where you are going. Your intention acts as a filter, allowing you to say yes to the things that move you towards your destination, and a powerful, unapologetic no to everything that does not. So, you see, these three thieves, the tyranny of circumstance, the sedation of routine, and the noise of the crowd, are the forces that keep people drifting. And the antidotes, radical responsibility, deliberate awareness, and unwavering intention, are the pillars of the architect's mindset. Which brings us to this very moment, a moment of decision. You can continue to allow these thieves to rob you of your potential, to let your life be a series of accidents. Or you can decide right here, right now, to become the architect. This brings us to the first act of creation. the first deliberate stroke of the architect's pen. I am going to ask you to do something that might seem deceptively simple, but I assure you it is one of the most powerful acts a person can perform. If you haven't yet done so, get out a notebook, a physical journal, and a pen. This is not a casual request. There is a profound magic that occurs when you translate a thought from the ethereal, invisible world of your mind into the concrete physical world on a piece of paper. A thought is a vapor. A written word is a seed. It is the first step in the process of manifestation. The act of opening a blank notebook is a declaration. It is a statement to yourself and to the universe that you are no longer willing to live by default. It is a signal that you are now ready to design. This notebook will become your studio. It will be the place where you draft the blueprints for your future. It will become the most valuable book you own, for it will contain the script for the masterpiece that is your life. The homework we are about to begin is not for a single night. It is a process that will last a lifetime, for an architect is always refining, always improving, always building upon their original design. Our subject, our first blueprint, is the profound and life-altering practice of setting goals. For as you will soon learn in detail, your goals are the foundational structure upon which every other part of your extraordinary life will be built. They are the first, most critical step in designing your destiny. My friends, in our last conversation, we made one of the most profound choices a human being can make. We made the decision to turn away from the crowded, well-trodden path of the drifter and to take our first deliberate steps onto the narrow, challenging, and infinitely rewarding path of the architect. We have acknowledged that our lives are not to be merely accepted, but to be consciously and deliberately built. We have accepted the mantle of radical responsibility. We have committed to the practice of deliberate awareness, and we have armed ourselves with the compass of unwavering intention. And so now we stand here together with our tools in hand. In front of us lies the most intimidating and yet the most exhilarating landscape an architect can ever face: the blank page. Look at this page. It represents something truly magical. It is a landscape of pure, unadulterated potential. This blank sheet is where the past loses its grip. It is where your past failures, your past disappointments, the opinions of others, and the chains of your old circumstances have no power. Here, on this page, you are not who you were. You are who you are becoming. This is the sacred ground of creation. The drifter's life is a filled-in page, a story written in someone else's handwriting. The architect's life begins with the courageous act of turning to a fresh, clean sheet. So let us begin the first sacred act of building your future. In your notebook, I want you to write this heading, this declaration, across the top of the page: my long-range goals. Beneath this heading, we will now engage with a question. Not a simple question, but a grand inquiry. It is the question that separates a life of chance from a life of choice. The question is this: what do I truly want within the next 1 to 10 years of my life? Now, before we attempt to answer this, we must establish some rules of engagement for this process. This is not an intellectual exercise. This is an exercise of the soul. Our first rule is this: we will engage in a process of rapid, unfiltered discovery. I am going to give you precisely 15 minutes. And in these 15 minutes, your challenge, your assignment, is to write down no fewer than 50, that is 5 to 0, different answers to that grand inquiry. You might say 50, that seems impossible. It is not. The reason for the speed and the volume is critical. We are attempting to bypass your inner critic. We all have one. It is the logical, sensible, and deeply fearful voice in our heads that, the moment we have a bold idea, immediately whispers, "That's not realistic. You can't afford that. What will people think? You've never done that before." That voice is the guardian of your comfort zone. Today, we are not interested in comfort. We are interested in truth. And the speed of this exercise is the key that unlocks the door past that guardian, allowing us to access the vast, rich, and often ignored vault of our subconscious desires, the things we truly want before we tell ourselves we can't have them. This brings us to our second rule. There is absolutely no judgment on this page. For these 15 minutes, this is a sacred, creative space. No dream is too big, no desire is too small, no idea is too silly. If you want to own a private island, write it down. If you want to learn to bake the perfect loaf of bread, write it down. We are not making commitments yet. We are prospectors, panning for gold. We must sift through a great deal of rock and mud, the random, fleeting ideas, to discover the unmistakable shine of the nuggets of pure gold that are your true, authentic goals. So how do we begin to answer such a vast question? We will break it down. We will explore the 6 fundamental dimensions of a well-lived life. As I describe each one, let your mind flow and let your pen move. The first dimension is, what do I want to do? This is the inquiry into the life of experience. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. This is your chance to define those moments. What skills do you wish to master? To play a musical instrument until it feels like an extension of your own voice, to learn a new language and converse with people from a different culture, to become a master craftsman, a skilled negotiator, a powerful speaker. What adventures do you wish to undertake? To climb a majestic mountain and see the world from a perspective few ever will, to sail across an ocean, to build a business from nothing but an idea and sheer force of will. Life is meant to be an adventure, not a spectator sport. Are you content to watch the game from the stands? Or do you want to be on the field, covered in the mud and glory of the contest? Write down every experience, every action, every challenge you wish to embrace. The second, and perhaps the most important dimension, is, what do I want to be? This is the inquiry into the life of character. This is the question that gets to the heart of who you are. The things you have can be lost or taken away. The places you go will fade into memory. But who you become in the process, that is permanent. You take your character with you into every room, every relationship, every challenge. It is the only true possession you will ever have. So who do you wish to be? Do you wish to be more courageous? To face your fears with resolve instead of avoidance? Do you wish to be more disciplined? To be the person who honors the promises they make to themselves? Do you wish to be more compassionate, more patient, more wise, more resilient? Imagine you are a sculptor, and the stone in front of you is your own character. With every choice you make each day, you are either chipping away the excess marble to reveal the masterpiece within, or you are adding clumsy lumps of clay, obscuring its form. Who is the masterpiece you are working to reveal? Define the virtues you wish to embody. This is the foundation of your entire life's design. The third dimension is, what do I want to see? This is the inquiry into the life of awe and witness. This is more than just a travel log. This is about expanding your perspective, about filling your mind with wonder. Yes, write down the magnificent sights of the world you wish to behold, the Grand Canyons, the ancient cities, the serene temples. To see these things is to be reminded of the scale of the world and the briefness of our time within it. It fosters humility and it inspires awe. But it is also about what you wish to witness as a result of your own efforts. Do you want to see your child walk across the graduation stage, knowing you provided the foundation for their success? Do you want to see a product you created on a store shelf? Do you want to see the look of gratitude in the eyes of someone whose life you have touched? To see is not just a passive act of observation. It is the act of bearing witness to the manifestation of your own creations. The fourth dimension, what do I want to have? This is the inquiry into the life of stewardship and abundance. Let us be honest. We live in a physical world, and the desire for material things is a natural part of the human experience. Do not shy away from this question out of a false sense of humility. Abundance is not a sin. It is often the result of providing immense value to the world. So what do you want to have? A beautiful home that is a sanctuary for you and your family? A fine automobile that is a reward for your hard work? A library filled with books? Financial independence that grants you the freedom to choose how you spend your days? The key is to see these things not as ends in themselves, but as tools and responsibilities. A fine home is a place to create memories. Financial resources are tools for security, for opportunity, and for generosity. The question is not, what do I want to have, but rather, What will having this allow me to do and to be? See yourself not as a mere owner, but as a steward of the abundance you create. The fifth dimension is, where do I want to go? This is the inquiry into the life of progress and new horizons. This is about destinations, both physical and metaphorical. Physical travel is an education in itself. To go to a new place is to challenge your assumptions and broaden your mind. But where else do you want to go? Do you want to go to the top of your field, to a position of leadership within your company, to a new career that aligns with your passion, to a place of deep spiritual understanding, to a state of vibrant health and energy? Life is movement. The universe is in a constant state of expansion. If you are not consciously moving toward a chosen destination, you are by default either standing still or moving backward. Stagnation is the beginning of decay. So where do you want to go? Define your new horizons. And finally, the sixth dimension, the one that gives meaning to all the others. What would I like to share? This is the inquiry into the life of legacy and contribution. A life is ultimately measured not by what you gather, but by what you scatter. The previous 5 dimensions are about gathering experiences, character, wealth, and wisdom. This final dimension is about pouring it all back out. What is the legacy you wish to leave? Do you want to share your knowledge through mentoring or writing? Do you want to share your wealth through philanthropy that supports a cause you believe in? Do you want to share your time through service to your community? Do you want to share your love and wisdom in a way that creates a strong, happy, multi-generational family? The reason to do more, to be more, and to have more is so that you have more to share. This dimension provides the ultimate purpose for your ambition. It transforms your goals from acts of personal gain into acts of service. So, with these 6 dimensions of a well-lived life in your mind, let us return to our grand inquiry. Take your 15 minutes, answer the question, what do I truly want? Begin. All right. Your 15 minutes are complete. Look at your list. It is likely long, chaotic, and wonderfully ambitious. This is the raw material of your future. Now, we must begin the process of bringing order to this creative energy. This is the act of organization. Go through your list, item by item, and next to each one, I want you to write a number, 1, 3, 5, or 10. This number represents the approximate number of years you believe it will take to achieve that goal. The 1-year goals are about building immediate momentum. The 3-year goals are for significant projects. The 5-year goals are for major life changes. And the 10-year goals, these are for total transformation. Once you have done this, take a step back and examine your work. Look for balance. Do you have a healthy distribution across all 4 categories? The principle of balance is crucial. A life designed for fulfillment requires a mix of short-term gratifications and long-term challenges. If your list is filled with only 10-year goals, you may be engaging in a form of sophisticated procrastination, putting your happiness so far into the future that you never have to take action today. If it is filled with only 1-year goals, you may not be dreaming big enough. You may not be designing a grand enough cathedral for your life. Adjust and reflect until you feel a sense of harmony in your timeline. This list you now possess is more than just a list of wishes. It is the first draft of your life's blueprint. It is a declaration of intent. We have taken the formless void of the blank page and populated it with the stars, the constellations of your deepest desires. But this is not the end. It is merely the end of the beginning. This list is the raw, uncut marble. Now the true work of the architect begins. To select the finest pieces from this quarry, to refine them, to understand their deeper purpose, and to begin the deliberate, masterful process of sculpting your destiny. And that, my friends, is precisely what we will do next. My friends, we have just returned from a remarkable expedition. We have journeyed into the vast, uncharted territory of our own potential. And we have returned with a treasure map, littered with no fewer than 50 marks of possible gold. We have explored the 6 dimensions of a well-lived life, and we have brought back a raw, vibrant, and perhaps overwhelming list of our desires. This is a moment for celebration. To have this list in front of you is to possess a wealth that few people ever accumulate. the wealth of self-knowledge, of acknowledged ambition. But it is also a moment of great peril, for an architect standing in a quarry filled with 1,000 beautiful stones faces a critical dilemma. A quarry filled with infinite possibilities is not a plan, it is a source of paralysis. The architect knows that to build a magnificent cathedral, they cannot use every stone, they must choose. They must select only the strongest, the finest, the most perfectly suited stones for their grand design. This, my friends, is the work we must do now. This is the moment we transition from the joyful chaos of exploration to the disciplined art of selection. This is the moment we transform our list from a collection of vague wishes into a set of powerful, undeniable commands. This is the heart of the architect's craft, to bring focus to the vision. Before we begin this selection process, however, we must first understand a profound and often tragic paradox of human achievement. We must learn from the story of some of the most accomplished human beings in all of history. We must talk about the astronaut's parable. Imagine for a moment the sheer, singular focus required to go to the moon. Imagine the thousands of hours of training, the relentless study, the physical and mental discipline. For years, these remarkable individuals had one goal, not 50, one. It was a goal that consumed their every waking moment. Every action, every thought, every calorie consumed was in service to that one magnificent, audacious objective, to walk on the surface of another world. And they achieved it. Can you fathom the glory of that moment? To stand on the moon and look back at our pale blue dot of a planet hanging in the infinite blackness. It is the pinnacle of human striving, the ultimate arrival. But then, what? Upon returning to Earth, some of these heroes, these global icons, fell into a deep and bewildering depression. They experienced a profound sense of aimlessness, a psychological void that was as vast and empty as the space they had just traversed. Think about the tragedy of that. The tragedy was not that they had reached their goal. The tragedy was that they had no new one waiting. Their entire identity had been wrapped up in the pursuit, and once the pursuit was over, a part of them felt that their life, too, was over. They had spent years climbing the tallest mountain imaginable, and when they reached the summit, they discovered that the joy was not in the standing still at the top, but in the arduous, challenging, and purposeful act of the climb itself. This is one of the most important lessons life can teach us. Happiness is not a destination at which we arrive. It is the direction in which we travel. It is a byproduct of a life lived with purpose, a life of meaningful pursuit. The moment we stop pursuing, the moment we stop striving, the moment we stop becoming, we begin to decay. It is a dangerous thing to linger too long at the table of success, admiring your last victory. The only way to truly enjoy another meal is to get good and hungry again. And the only way to ensure a life of sustained fulfillment is to have your next series of goals already on the fire, simmering with potential, calling you forward even as you celebrate your current achievement. A well-designed life is not a single destination. It is a series of compelling, overlapping, and endlessly fascinating journeys. And that is why we will not choose one goal, we will choose 16. We will design a life that is rich, layered, and symphonic in its complexity. Look at your list, the one you have organized by time frames. 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. Your task now is one of focused curation. I want you to review your list and circle the 4 most important, most meaningful, most exciting goals from each of the 4 time categories. 4 1-year goals, 4 3-year goals, 4 5-year goals, and 4 10-year goals. This will be difficult. It will require you to say no to some good ideas so that you can give your full, undivided attention to the great ones. This is the discipline of the architect. This is the art of priority. These 16 goals will now become the foundational pillars of your life's design for the next decade. They are your new constitution, your personal declaration of intent. Now, once you have these 16 pillars selected, the real work of creation begins. We must now take these ideas and breathe life into them. We must transform them from simple lines of text into vivid, multidimensional realities that exist in our minds with such clarity that the universe has no choice but to conspire to bring them into being. For each of these 16 goals, you will take a fresh page in your journal And on that page, you will follow the two great commandments of creation. The first commandment is this: let there be light. In this context, light is clarity. You must describe what you want with such painstaking, vivid detail that it becomes real. A vague goal is a weak goal. It has no power. A vague goal is like asking a builder to build me a nice house. The builder has no blueprint, no dimensions, no materials list. He cannot even begin. You must provide your subconscious mind the master builder that works tirelessly for you with a detailed, crystal clear blueprint. If your goal is a material object, describe its color, its size, its model, its texture. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? If your goal is a position of leadership, describe the office, the view from the window, the title on the door, the number of people on your team, the decisions you get to make, the salary that you earn. Be specific. Numbers, colors, sounds, feelings. Why is this so critical? Because your brain contains a remarkable mechanism, a filter known as the reticular activating system. In simple terms, your brain is constantly filtering out billions of bits of information to prevent you from being overwhelmed. You only notice what you have told your brain is important. Have you ever decided you wanted to buy a specific model of car, and then suddenly you start seeing that car everywhere on the road? Were there suddenly more of those cars? Of course not. They were always there. But you had programmed your brain's filter to identify it as important. You gave it a clear command. When you define a goal with absolute vivid clarity, you are programming this filter. You are telling your brain, this is important. Pay attention to anything related to this. And as if by magic, you will start to notice opportunities. You will overhear conversations. You will come across resources that were always there, but were previously invisible to you. Clarity is the light that illuminates the path to your goal. Let's take a simple example. A vague goal. I want to get in shape. This has no power. What does it mean? A clear command: in the next 12 months, I will reduce my body weight to 180 pounds with 15% body fat. I will have the energy to run a 5K race without stopping. And I will feel strong and vibrant every single morning when I wake up. Do you see the difference? One is a wish. The other is a command that your mind can understand and begin to work on. This is the first part of your assignment for each of your 16 goals. Let there be light. Let there be clarity. Now for the second great commandment of creation. Once you have described what you want in vivid detail, you must answer the most important question of all. You must write down the reason why. This is the commandment that says, let there be purpose. My friends, if clarity is the blueprint of your goal, then your why is its soul. It is the engine. It is the rocket fuel. The what is the body. The why is the heartbeat. Without a powerful, compelling emotional reason for wanting something, you will not have the resilience to endure the challenges that will inevitably arise on your journey to achieving it. This is the great litmus test of true desire. The process of articulating your why is how you distinguish a core goal from a passing fancy. If you cannot write a passionate, convincing paragraph about why you want something, then I submit to you that you don't truly want it. You are merely intrigued by the idea of it. It is a whim, not a command. The drifter's life is full of whims. The architect's life is built on a foundation of deep purpose. As you begin this process of writing, you will make a fascinating discovery. You will find yourself excavating reasons you didn't even know you had. You will connect your goals to your deepest values, to the people you love, to the legacy you want to leave behind. I want that beautiful home. Why? Because I want to provide a place of security, joy, and beautiful memories for my family. I want it to be the place where my children and their children always feel welcome, a sanctuary of love in a chaotic world. Do you feel the power in that? That is a reason that will get you through the tough days. That is a reason that will inspire you to do the hard work. So, for each of your 16 pillars, after you have described the what with absolute clarity, I want you to write down the why with absolute passion. This is the work that transforms a goal from a cold objective into a living, breathing mission. Once this is done, you will have 16 powerful, clear, and purpose-driven commands. These are your blueprints. And just as an architect carries their blueprints with them to the construction site every day, you will now carry these goals with you. Write them on a card or in a small journal that you keep in your pocket or your purse, and create a sacred ritual. Once a day, perhaps first thing in the morning, review them, read them, feel them. Remind yourself of what you are building, and more importantly, remind yourself of why you are building it. This simple act is the compass that will keep you on course. It is the daily realignment that ensures that even on the cloudy days, when you cannot see your North Star, you are still moving in the right direction. We have now done the profound work of moving from a chaotic quarry of wishes to a curated, organized, and powerful set of architectural plans. We have taken our dreams and forged them into clear, vivid, and prioritized commands. We have built the body of our ambition, but a body, no matter how perfectly formed, is a lifeless vessel without a soul. A blueprint, no matter how detailed, is useless without the unstoppable energy of the builder. Now that we have the plans, we must ignite the engine. We must breathe life into these goals. We must now turn our full and undivided attention to the very source of all human motivation. We must discover in detail your powerful, emotional, and unstoppable why. With perseverance, my friends, we have just completed the meticulous intellectual work of the architect. We have journeyed into the vast quarry of our desires and have returned not with a chaotic pile of stone, but with 16 magnificent foundational pillars. We have polished them with the cloth of clarity. We have chiseled them into detailed, vivid forms. We have the blueprints. We know the what, the when, and the where. The world is full of people who have blueprints. Their shelves are lined with books on how to succeed. Their desks are covered with detailed plans, and yet their lives remain unchanged. Their cathedrals remain unbuilt. They possess a perfect map, but they never begin the journey. Why? Because a blueprint, my friends, is a silent, powerless document. A map is merely ink on paper. They possess no energy of their own. The greatest plan in the world is useless without the single most powerful force in the human universe, an unshakable will to act. Today, we move beyond the science of planning and into the art of human motivation. Today, we will forge that unshakable will. We are here to talk about the architect's secret weapon. We are here to install the engine into the magnificent vehicle you have just designed. We are here to discover your why. Now, Tenet, I have often said that if you have a powerful enough reason, you can do just about anything. You can endure any hardship. You can overcome any obstacle. You can learn any skill. The reason, the purpose, the why, this is the very soul of ambition. The what is the body. The why is the heartbeat. The what is the rocket ship. The why is the fuel that allows it to defy gravity and reach the stars. But not all fuel is created equal. I have discovered that there are two fundamental types of motivation. Two kinds of fuel that can drive a human life. The first and most common is what I call away from motivation. This is the motivation of desperation. It is the fuel of pain, of fear, of disgust. It is the powerful primal urge to get away from a negative circumstance. It is the desire to get away from the crushing weight of debt, to get away from a job that is draining your soul, to get away from a state of poor health that limits your life, to get away from the embarrassment of not being able to provide for your family in the way you dream of. Do not underestimate the power of this fuel. It is potent. A man whose house is on fire does not need a motivational seminar to get him to run. The fire provides all the motivation he needs. Many of the world's greatest success stories began here with a person who finally drew a line in the sand and said, I have had enough. I will not live like this for one more day. Desperation is a powerful catalyst for change. But here is the limitation of this fuel. What happens when you get a safe distance away from the fire? What happens when you've paid off the most pressing debts? When you found a job that is merely tolerable? When your health is no longer in immediate crisis? The urgency fades. The fire is no longer licking at your heels. and the powerful motivation that got you started begins to wane. Away from motivation is a remarkable starter fuel, but it is not a sustainable source of energy for the long, arduous, and magnificent journey of building an extraordinary life. For that, you need the second type of fuel. You need towards motivation. This is the motivation of vision. It is the fuel of purpose, of love, of contribution, of legacy. This is not a force that pushes you from behind in a panic. It is a force that pulls you forward with a gentle yet relentless gravitational force. Imagine a magnificent, beautiful planet hanging in the sky, a planet that represents your ideal future. Its pull is constant. It is inspiring. It is there when you wake up in the morning and when you go to sleep at night. It doesn't scream at you in fear. It whispers to you in possibility. This pull motivation is the fuel of the true architect. It is what allows you to build not just for a season, but for a lifetime. Our work today is to fill your tank with this high-octane, sustainable fuel. We will do this by excavating your personal sources of purpose. We will drill down past the surface level answers to discover the 5 deep reservoirs of an unstoppable why. The first reservoir is the personal why, the gift to yourself. This is the foundation. It is the purpose that is born of self-worth and a desire for personal experience. It is not selfish to want a better life for yourself. In fact, it is the highest form of responsibility. The greatest gift you can ever give to the people you love, to your community, and to the world is to become the absolute best version of yourself. So, for each of your 16 goals, you must ask, what will achieving this do for me? What personal freedom will this grant me? Will it give me the freedom from a 9-to-5 schedule, the freedom from financial worry, the freedom to spend my time on things that truly matter? Ask yourself, how will this change the way I feel when I look in the mirror? Will it build my self-respect, my confidence, my pride in my own discipline and accomplishments? What new adventures, what new joys, what new sense of peace will this bring into my personal experience of life? You must have a powerful personal stake in your own success. It is the starting point of all ambition. The second, and for many, the most powerful reservoir is the familial why, the gift to your loved ones. Few forces on earth are as powerful as the love for one's family. Many a person who would not climb a mountain for themselves will move that same mountain for their child, their spouse, or their parents. As you look at your goals, you must connect them to the people you love. Ask yourself, who am I truly doing this for? How will achieving this goal bless the lives of the people who matter most to me? Will it allow you to provide a level of security and opportunity for your children that you never had? Will it allow you to give your spouse a life of less worry and more joy? Will it allow you to take care of your aging parents with dignity and grace? What kind of memories will this goal allow you to create with them? And perhaps most importantly, what kind of example do I want to set? Your children are more likely to listen to your life than to your advice. When they see you striving, overcoming obstacles, and building a life of purpose, you are giving them the greatest lesson of all. You are teaching them what is possible. Find a reason that is bigger than yourself, and you will find a strength you never knew you had. The third reservoir is the economic why, the gift of financial power. Let us talk about money. Some people are uncomfortable with this. They have been taught that the pursuit of wealth is greedy or ignoble. That is a poor person's philosophy. Let me offer you a new one. Money is not good or evil. It is a tool. It is an amplifier. It simply makes you more of what you already are. If you are a cruel person, money will give you the power to be crueler. But if you are a generous, kind, and ambitious person, money will amplify your ability to do good in the world. So we must not be shy in our pursuit of financial strength. For each of your goals, ask, what will the economic success that comes from this achievement allow me to do, to build, to fix, to change, to contribute? I have found there are 3 magnificent things you can do with money. First, you can enjoy it. You can build that beautiful home, drive that fine car, and create those wonderful experiences. There is no virtue in poverty. Second, you can invest it. You can use it as capital to create new businesses, new jobs, and new opportunities that provide value to others. Third, and most importantly, you can give it away. You can support your church, your community, your favorite cause, you can become a source of blessing for others. See financial success not as an end, but as a powerful tool for personal freedom and public good. The fourth reservoir is the contributional why, the gift to others. The fundamental law of economics and of life is this: your rewards will always be in direct proportion to the value you provide to the marketplace. The world does not pay you for your time, it pays you for the value you bring to that time. If you wish to have more, you must become more. Therefore, you must connect your goals to an act of service. Ask yourself, whose problem will my success solve? What pain will I remove from the world? What value am I creating for my clients, my customers, my community? To become a master communicator is not just a personal goal, it is the ability to inspire and teach others. To build a successful business is not just an economic goal, it is the act of creating jobs, solving problems, and improving the lives of your customers. The architect who designs a life of purpose understands that true success is not about what you can get from the world, but about what you can give to it. The getting is simply a natural consequence of the giving. And this leads us to the fifth and final reservoir, the deepest well of purpose, the legacy why, the gift to the future. This is the purpose that transcends your own lifetime. This is the ultimate why. It is the reason that drives you to plant a tree whose shade you know you will never personally sit in. As you review your grandest 10-year goals, ask yourself this final set of questions. What will outlast me? When my brief time on this stage is over, what will be different because I was here? What stories will be told? What lessons will I have taught? What institutions will I have built? What reputation will I leave behind for my family? To connect your daily actions to a sense of legacy is to tap into an infinite source of motivation. It is to understand that you are a link in a chain and that your efforts today will ripple through generations to come. It is to build a cathedral of a life, knowing that while you may only lay a few thousand stones, you are part of a grand design that will inspire awe long after you are gone. So there you have it, the 5 reservoirs of an unstoppable why: the personal, the familial, the economic, the contributional, and the legacy. A truly powerful purpose is not found in just one of these. A truly unstoppable why is a powerful cocktail, a blend of all 5. It is the pursuit of a goal that gives a profound gift to yourself, that blesses the people you love, that creates financial strength, that serves the world, and that builds a lasting legacy. Your final assignment for this chapter is the most important one yet. Go back to your 16 pillars. Go back to the blueprints you have so carefully designed. Now it is time to write the poetry. It is time to write the soul. For each one, using these 5 reservoirs as your guide, write down your powerful, emotional, multi-layered why. Do not rush this work. This is the heart of your new life. Logic will make you think, but it is emotion that will make you act. Find the reasons that make you feel something. Find the reasons that will carry you through the darkness, that will fuel you through the exhaustion, that will make any obstacle seem small in comparison. For once you have a clear blueprint, and you have an engine burning with the high-octane fuel of a multi-layered purpose, you are no longer a drifter. You are no longer just an architect. You have become an unstoppable force of nature. All that is left is to begin to build. And so you now have the blueprint, and you have the soul, you have the what, and you have the profound multi-layered why. This is the heart of your new life. But this work, the work of an architect, is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong commitment to growth, to discipline, and to wisdom. If you are serious about this commitment, if the journey we are on together resonates with the architect you are becoming, then I invite you to make a simple declaration. Take a moment right now and subscribe to this channel. See it not as a click of a button, but as a commitment to yourself, a commitment to surround yourself with the ideas and the community that will hold you to the high standard your future self deserves. Now that the engine is fueled, let us learn how to ignite it and begin the journey. My friends, we have just completed the most profound and important internal work a human being can undertake. We have journeyed deep into the reservoirs of our own soul and have returned with the most precious of all treasures, a powerful, multi-layered, and deeply personal why. We have filled the engine of our ambition with the high-octane fuel of purpose. We have the destination, our 16-pillar goals. We have the fuel, our compelling reasons. Our magnificent vehicle is sitting on the launch pad, gleaming with potential. But let me ask you a question. A rocket ship full of fuel pointed at the stars is still just a statue until one critical event occurs: ignition, followed by sustained thrust. Without that, it is merely a monument to potential, not a testament to progress. The powerful gravitational pull of inertia, the tendency for a life at rest or remain at rest, is a force that cannot be overcome by intention alone. This is where the drifter's dreams die. They have the wish, they may even have the reason, but they stand staring at the 10-year journey ahead, so overwhelmed by the sheer distance that they never take the first step. Today, we learn how to create the spark of ignition. Today, we learn the practical physics of progress. We learn how to overcome inertia and build unstoppable momentum. We do this by mastering the profound and life-altering philosophy of the short-term win. Let us revisit the analogy of the ship captain. The wise captain has a grand destination in a faraway port, a 10-year journey away. But the wise captain does not spend all day staring at that distant horizon. To do so would be foolish. The weather changes, the currents shift. Instead, the captain focuses their full attention on navigating to the next visible point of arrival. It might be a lighthouse on the coast. It might be a buoy in a channel. It might simply be a set of coordinates on a map for the day's journey. Are these short-term destinations a distraction from the final port? Of course not. They are the very method by which the grand voyage is successfully completed. Each point reached is a victory. It is confirmation that the ship is on course. It builds the confidence of the crew. The long journey is made possible only by a relentless focus on a series of short, achievable successes. This, my friends, is the model for your life. You cannot build your magnificent 10-year cathedral by attempting to lift the entire dome into place today. You must lay one brick perfectly today. This brings us to the most practical work of the architect, the deconstruction of the grand design. We must take your intimidating long-range goals and reverse engineer them into a series of simple, non-negotiable daily commands. Let us begin with your 10-year goals. These are your North Stars. These are your becoming goals, the vision of the person you are evolving into. Now ask yourself this powerful question. For this 10-year vision to be a reality, what major milestones must be firmly in place by the end of this current year? The answer to that question gives you your powerful one-year goals. Now, take one of those one-year goals. It is still too large to act upon directly. We must deconstruct it further. Ask, what are the 12 critical projects or phases I must complete to achieve this year-long objective? Perhaps January is for research, February is for planning, March is for the first phase of execution. Suddenly, the year-long journey has been broken down into 12 manageable monthly objectives. We are getting closer, but we are not there yet. Take one of your monthly objectives. Ask, what are the 4 or 5 key results that must be achieved this month? This gives you your weekly tasks. These are the battles you will fight each week to win the war of the month. And now, we come to the most important step of all. We take our weekly task and we bring it into the only time frame where we have any real power, today. The great secret to an extraordinary future is found in an ordinary day. The question is not, what will I do someday? The question is, what must I do today to win the week, to advance the month, to achieve the year, and to build the decade? This is how you move from a dreamer to a doer. You transform your vague to-do list, which is often a collection of other people's priorities and mundane chores, into a success list. A success list is short. It contains no more than 1 to 3 items. It is the list of actions that, if completed today, will undeniably move you closer to your own grand design. Do you see the power of this process? We have taken a magnificent, intimidating 10-year dream and we have transformed it into a simple, clear, actionable command for today. The question of how do I build my empire has become, how do I lay this one single brick? Anyone can lay one brick. This process now leads us to the psychological masterpiece behind short-term goals. I call them confidence builders. Here is a profound truth about confidence. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action, it is a result of action. We have it backward. We think we must first feel confident to take a risk or start a new discipline. The truth is, you do not get confident to act. You act to get confident. Confidence is the reputation you build with yourself. Every time you tell yourself you are going to do something, and you actually do it, you make a deposit in your confidence account. Every time you break that promise, you make a withdrawal. The person with low confidence is simply someone who has a long history of breaking promises to themselves. The short-term win is how you begin to build a new history. It is how you begin to manufacture confidence on a daily basis. The simple, powerful act of writing down a small task for the day, read 10 pages, make 5 phone calls, walk for 20 minutes, and then physically checking it off the list is a profound psychological event. That check mark is a victory. It is visible proof that you are a person who does what they say they will do. When you do this, something remarkable happens inside your brain. The act of achieving a goal, no matter how small, and acknowledging that achievement releases a chemical called dopamine. It is the chemical of reward and motivation. It is your brain's way of saying, that felt good, that was a success. Let's do that again. With every box you check, you are literally rewiring your brain for success. You are creating a positive feedback loop, an upward spiral of achievement. Each small win makes the next action easier. It builds the momentum we have been talking about. A small object is hard to get moving, but once it is rolling, it builds a power of its own. Your daily wins are the gentle, consistent pushes that get your life rolling towards your grandest ambitions. This now brings us to a part of the process that ambitious people almost always get wrong. It is a step so critical that to miss it is to risk the entire enterprise. It is the sacred ritual of celebration. What does the average high achiever do when they complete a task? They immediately look at the next item on the list. There is no pause, no acknowledgement, no joy. They treat their life as an endless checklist of chores. And then they wonder why, despite all their success, they feel a persistent sense of burnout and a lack of fulfillment. They have forgotten how to celebrate. Celebration is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity for sustained motivation. Celebration is the act of consciously closing the loop. It is the harvest for the labor you have sown. It is the act of anchoring the powerful, positive feeling of success to the difficult feeling of effort. When you do this, you teach your brain a vital lesson. This hard work leads to this wonderful reward. Over time, your brain will begin to crave the work because it anticipates the reward. So how do you celebrate? The celebration must be proportional to the achievement. For your daily disciplines, the micro celebrations, it can be something simple. After you check the box, take 60 seconds. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and give yourself a moment of genuine, quiet pride. Say to yourself, I did it, I kept the promise. That is a celebration. Making yourself a fresh cup of coffee after completing a difficult task. That is a celebration. For your weekly goals, the mini celebrations, the reward should be larger. A nice meal out. Watching a movie with your family, guilt-free, because you have earned the rest. An evening spent on a hobby, completely unplugged from your work. And for your major monthly or yearly milestones, you must have major celebrations. A weekend trip, a significant purchase that you have been planning for, a formal event to mark the occasion. The drifter waits for life to give him a reason to celebrate. The architect schedules their celebrations and then works to earn them. An uncelebrated victory feels hollow. And a series of hollow victories will eventually cause your soul to ask, what is the point of all this relentless effort if there is no joy in it? Celebration is the joy that fuels the engine of discipline. Do not neglect it. We have now taken our grand vision and transformed it into a series of simple daily commands. We have learned that confidence is not a gift we wait for, but a product we manufacture daily through small, consistent wins. and we have learned to honor our effort through the sacred and necessary ritual of celebration. We have designed a system for progress in a perfect world. But, my friends, let us be honest. We do not live in a perfect world. Not every day will be a win. There will be days when, despite your best intentions, you do not check the box. There will be weeks when progress feels agonizingly slow, or even when you take a step backward. The road the architect travels is not a perfectly straight, smoothly paved highway. It is a path through mountains and valleys. So what happens when we falter? What is the architect's response when they face an unexpected storm? When a plan fails? When a setback occurs? How do we handle the inevitable pain of falling short of our own expectations? To build a life that is truly magnificent, it must also be resilient. We must not only understand how to celebrate our wins, but we must also understand how to grow from our losses. And to do that, my friends, we must now turn our attention to the profound and character-forging wisdom found in the two kinds of pain. My friends, we have spent our time together thus far, engaged in the magnificent work of creation. We have designed our blueprints. We have filled our engines with the potent fuel of purpose. We have even designed a brilliant system for building momentum, a daily practice of small, consistent wins that propel us forward. We have, in essence, designed a system for progress in a perfect world. But the architect who designs a magnificent ship, who engineers it for speed and for glory, knows a profound and unspoken truth that the casual passenger does not. No matter how well built the vessel, no matter how clear the map, the storms will come. The journey you have chosen, the path of the architect, is not a tranquil cruise across a glassy sea. It is a voyage across a vast and unpredictable ocean. There will be days of brilliant sunshine and favorable winds, the days of the small winds we have discussed. But there will also be days of howling gales, of terrifying waves, of disorienting fog. There will be days when the destination seems to vanish from the map altogether. The question that will ultimately define the success of your entire life's voyage is not if you will face the storm, but how you will face it. The drifter, when the storm hits, curses their luck. They abandon the wheel and pray for the storm to pass, often being smashed against the rocks of their own inaction. But the architect understands that the storm is not an interruption of the journey, it is a part of the journey. The storm is the crucible. It is the fire in which the iron of your ambition is forged into the steel of your character. Today, we are going to talk about that fire. We are going to talk about building a life that is not just successful, but is unbreakable. We are going to talk about forging resilience. And our journey into this difficult subject begins with the understanding of the most fundamental choice of a lifetime. It is not the choice between success and failure. It is not the choice between happiness and sadness. It is the choice between the two pains. You see, life does not offer us a choice between pain and comfort. It offers us a choice between two very different kinds of pain. And the one you choose will determine the entire quality of your existence. The first is the pain of discipline. What is this pain? It is the soreness of the muscle after a workout you didn't want to do. It is the discomfort of waking up an hour earlier than you have to read, to plan, to work on your design while the rest of the world sleeps. It is the difficulty of making the phone call you are afraid to make. It is the sting of saying no to a temporary pleasure in service of a long-term ambition. The pain of discipline feels heavy in the moment. It is the intentional, focused, and often uncomfortable application of effort. It is the sculptor's chisel striking the stone, a sharp, deliberate, and constructive act. It is the pain of creation, and here is the key characteristic of this pain. It is a pain you voluntarily choose. You are the one who picks up the chisel. You are the one who steps into the arena. And what is the weight of this pain? I have found that the pain of discipline weighs ounces. It is a burden, yes, but one you can carry, and one that makes you stronger with every step. Now, let us look at the other option. The second choice is the pain of regret. What is this pain? It is a far quieter, more insidious kind of suffering. It is the dull, haunting ache of the life unlived. It is the bitterness of looking back at your years and knowing in your heart that you did not give it your all. It is the ghost of the person you could have become, a constant companion in your later years, whispering the most tragic of all words, what if? It is the pain of potential squandered. It is the slow, crushing weight of a life built on a weak foundation of excuses and procrastination. It is the pain of decay. And here is the key characteristic of this pain. It is a pain that chooses you. It is the inevitable consequence of a lifetime of avoiding the pain of discipline. It arrives uninvited, and it never leaves. And what is the weight of this pain? I have found that the pain of regret weighs tons. It is the light choice today that becomes the heaviest of all burdens tomorrow. So do not be mistaken. You cannot avoid pain. The universe demands a payment for the life you live. You can either pay the price up front in the currency of discipline, or you can pay it on the back end with a lifetime of interest in the currency of regret. You will pay. The only question is which pain you will choose. My advice, choose the pain that leaves a legacy, not the one that leaves a scar. This now brings us to one of the most misunderstood events in the architect's journey, the event of failure. The drifter sees failure as a verdict. They see it as a final judgment on their worth and their abilities. When they fail, they say, I am a failure. They take the event and they wrap it into their identity. And because it is now who they are paralyzed from trying again. The architect has a radically different philosophy. The architect understands that failure is not a person. Failure is an event. It is a data point. It is a seminar. Failure is simply the universe's way of saying, that approach didn't work. Here is a lesson. Now adjust your sail. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of the path to success. You cannot get to the light without navigating through the dark tunnels. I have never met a successful person who did not have a long and intimate relationship with failure. The only people who never fail are the people who never try anything worthwhile. So how do we use this event? We must follow the principle I gave you in our original transcript, make losing painful. Now, this is a dangerous idea if it is misunderstood. This is not a call for self-hatred or shame. That is the drifter's response. For the architect, making losing painful is about creating accountability and immediate corrective action. It is about refusing to be casual about your own shortcomings. A professional athlete, after a terrible game, does not simply shrug and say, oh well, maybe next time. The pain of that loss drives them. It drives them back to the training room, back to the videotapes to study their mistakes, back to the practice field to run the extra drills. The pain of the event fuels a more intense application of discipline. This must be your model. If you set a goal to complete a project by the end of the week and you fail because of your own procrastination, you must not simply let it slide. The pain is not to shame yourself. The pain is a self-imposed consequence. It is the discipline of saying, because I failed to perform, I must now invest 2 hours of my Saturday morning to correct the course while others are relaxing. When you take it at a disparate, this is not punishment. This is training. You are teaching your own nervous system a powerful lesson. Inaction has a cost. There is a price to be paid for squandering a day. This process transforms failure from a dead end into a powerful catalyst for a stronger discipline. This now leads us to the final critical element of forging resilience. You cannot do it alone. The character of steel you are trying to build will either be strengthened or softened by the environment you place it in. This brings us to the profound importance of the company you keep. There is a law of human nature that is as certain as the law of gravity. You will, over time, become the combined average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Their attitudes, their habits, their expectations, and their standards will seep into your life, whether you are conscious of it or not. Your social circle is a thermostat that will regulate the temperature of your own ambition. The drifter seeks comfort. Therefore, they surround themselves with an easy crowd. The easy crowd is lovely. They are supportive in their own way. When you fail, they say, oh, don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay. You deserve a break. When you talk about a big dream, they say, that sounds nice, but be realistic. They mean well, but they are the guardians of mediocrity. They will protect you from the pain of discipline, and in doing so, they will condemn you to the pain of regret. The architect does not seek comfort, they seek growth. Therefore, the architect must deliberately design their inner circle. They must seek out a high expectation crowd. This crowd is different. They are not necessarily your cheerleaders. They are your sparring partners. They are the friends who, when you share your excuses, look you in the eye and say, I don't accept that from you because I know you are capable of more. They are the mentors who challenge your thinking. They are the colleagues who push you to raise your standards. The great Roman philosopher Seneca said, associate with those who will make a better man of you. This is the architect's social strategy. You must be willing to leave the comfortable warmth of the easy crowd and step into the forge. Go where the expectations are high. Go where the pressure to perform is not a threat, but an inspiration. A sapling tree planted alone in an open field may be blown by the wind and grow crooked, but a sapling planted in a dense forest must grow straight and tall because it must compete for the light. My friends, go where the light is. Surround yourself with giants, and you will be forced to grow. So this is the anatomy of an unbreakable spirit. This is how the architect endures the storms. Resilience is not a quality you are born with. It is a character you build. It is the result of a series of deliberate choices. It is the daily choice to embrace the constructive pain of discipline over the crushing weight of regret. It is the courageous choice to reframe the event of failure as a priceless lesson, not as a personal identity. It is the honest choice to hold yourself accountable for your shortcomings and to use that pain as fuel for a stronger resolve. And it is the wise choice to surround yourself with people who will not accept anything less than the best that is within you. When you master this process, when you learn to harness the power of your setbacks, instead of being a victim of them, you become truly formidable. You become like the great sword in the hands of the master smith, heated in the fire of adversity, beaten on the anvil of failure, and plunged into the cold water of recovery, emerging each time stronger, sharper, and more resilient than before. But what of the person who avoids the forge altogether? What is the fate of the one who avoids both the sharp pain of discipline and the educational pain of failure? They are destined for a far quieter, yet infinitely more tragic fate. They are destined for the unlived life. They are destined to become the permanent drifter. And that, my friends, is the great danger we must now finally confront. My friends, we have journeyed far together. We have chosen the path of the architect. We have learned to draft the blueprints of our future, to fuel our ambitions with a powerful purpose, to build momentum through daily victories, and most recently, we have walked through the forge. We have learned how the architect builds resilience, how they take the inevitable storms of life, the fires of adversity, and the hammer of failure, and use them to forge the unbreakable steel of their character. We have learned how to build a life that can withstand the storm. But now, as we near the end of our time together, we must confront a final, chilling question. What of the person who never enters the forge? What is the fate of the one who so skillfully avoids both the sharp, constructive pain of discipline and the educational, character-building pain of failure? They are not destined for a dramatic, fiery crash. No, theirs is a far quieter, yet infinitely more tragic fate. They are destined for the slow, silent erosion of the human spirit. They are destined for the greatest of all human tragedies, the unlived life. This is the life of the permanent drifter. And today, we must stare into that abyss, not to inspire fear, but to inspire an unwavering, final commitment to never let that be your story. Let us return to the character we discussed earlier, for he is the symbol of this tragedy. He is a good man. Let us be very clear about that. He is not lazy in the conventional sense. He is a sincere man, a hard-working man. He wakes up every morning, he goes to work, he provides for his family. He is, by all societal standards, a responsible person. After a long day, he comes home and he is tired. And he says, as so many millions say, I'm too tired to plan. I've worked all day. I need to relax, to watch a little TV, to unwind. His logic seems sound. But this man, this good, sincere, hardworking man, is behind on his car payments. He is worried about the future. His life is a quiet state of financial and emotional strain. Herein lies one of the most misunderstood truths about success and failure. The world is full of good, sincere, hard-working people who end up broke, disappointed, and embarrassed, and they cannot understand why. I worked hard, they say. I was sincere, I did my best. And here is the devastating answer. Your sincerity and your hard work on their own are not enough. In the grand design of a life, they are secondary virtues. You must be better than a good worker. You must become a good planner. Let us make a powerful distinction. It is the distinction between activity and accomplishment. The drifter's life is filled with activity. They are busy. They rush from task to task. They answer emails. They attend meetings. They run errands. Their days are full, but their efforts are scattered, like a handful of seeds thrown into the wind. A few may land on fertile ground by accident, but most will blow away, lost forever. Their life is a flurry of motion without direction. The architect, on the other hand, is focused on accomplishment. Accomplishment is activity that is disciplined, focused, and intelligently directed towards a predetermined written goal. It is the handful of seeds planted in a carefully prepared garden in neat rows, each one given the full attention it needs to grow. Activity is spending the day. Accomplishment is investing the day. The drifter spends their days, and at the end of their life, they have nothing to show for it but the exhaustion. The architect invests their days, and at the end of their life, they have a magnificent harvest. Without a plan, without a set of clear written goals, all the hard work in the world is just a way to get tired. It is a frantic race on a treadmill that leads nowhere. Now, what is the fuel that keeps a person on this treadmill for a lifetime? It is a substance so common that it goes unnoticed, yet so potent that it can sedate the most powerful of ambitions. It is the dangerous drug known as passive hope. Hope, in its purest form, is a beautiful thing. It is the spark in the human spirit that allows us to look beyond a difficult present to a better future. But like any powerful substance, it can be used to create or to destroy. There are two kinds of hope. There is active hope. This is the architect's hope. It is a hope that is attached to a plan. It is the confident belief in a future that you are actively, deliberately, and tirelessly creating with your own two hands. It is the hope of the farmer who has planted his seeds, who tends his fields, and who hopes for a good harvest because he has done the work. Active hope is an engine. But then there is passive hope. This is the drifter's hope. It is a hope that is detached from any plan or any personal effort. It is the hope of a man who buys a lottery ticket and hopes his numbers will come up. It is a wish, a fantasy, a vague desire that somehow, some way, things will magically get better on their own. Passive hope is not an engine. It is a sedative. It is the drug that makes the drifter comfortable with their inaction. This leads to a profound psychological sickness. As the ancient proverb says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. The sickness is not the absence of hope, but the constant, chronic disappointment that comes from a hope that is never realized because it was never attached to a discipline. The drifter who lives on passive hope is a resident of a fantasy place I call Someday Isle. You have heard of this place. It is where the vast majority of dreams go to die. On Someday Isle, the motto is, someday I'll get my finances in order. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get healthy. But Someday Isle is a mirage on the horizon. You can spend your entire life sailing towards it, but it recedes as you approach. It is not a real place. It is a psychological trick you play on yourself to make your present inaction tolerable. And the most dangerous form of this sickness is what I call happy passive hope. This is the person who's 50 years old, their finances are a disaster, their health is failing, their dreams are covered in dust, and they are still smiling. They are still saying, with a cheerful disposition, oh, don't worry about me. My big break is just around the corner. Things are going to turn around. Why is this so dangerous? Because the smile, the cheerful optimism, prevents the necessary crisis. It insulates them from the healthy, motivating pain of their own reality. They are so comfortably numb on the drug of passive hope that they never feel the sharp sting of their own failure, the sting that is necessary to provoke them to finally make a change. This is the great danger we must all guard against. The temptation to believe that our good intentions are enough. The temptation to believe that wishing for a better future is the same as designing one. What then is the true cost of this life? What is the final bill that comes due for a lifetime of drifting and passive hope? It is the tragedy of potential. It has been said that the wealthiest place on the planet is not the oil fields of the Middle East or the diamond mines of Africa. The wealthiest place on earth is the cemetery. For in the cemetery are buried all the unwritten books, all the unsung songs, all the unbuilt businesses, all the uninvented solutions, all the unreconciled relationships, all the love that was never fully expressed. The graveyard is filled to overflowing with the squandered potential of good people who lived their lives on Someday Isle. Imagine, if you will, being at the end of your life, and in that final quiet moment of reflection, you are visited by a guest, and that guest is the person you could have been, the person you were capable of becoming. And they look at you not with anger, but with a profound, heartbreaking sadness, and they ask, look at the life we could have lived. Look at the joy we could have experienced. Look at the good we could have done. Why did you not let me out? Why did you leave me buried inside? That is the pain of regret. That is the final accounting for a life lived by default. It is the crushing realization that the greatest risk you could have taken was not in trying and failing, but in the devastating safety of never having tried at all. This brings us to our final, urgent conclusion. The antidote to this entire tragedy is simple. It is not easy, but it is simple. The antidote to drifting is a plan. The antidote to passive hope is a written goal. The antidote to the unlived life is the decision to get serious. And let us be clear about what it means to be serious. It does not mean you must be grim. It does not mean you must lose your sense of humor or your capacity for joy. To be serious means to have a profound and unwavering respect for the precious, unrepeatable gift of your own life. It is to understand that your time here is finite, but your potential is immense, and that it is the ultimate tragedy to waste either. To get serious is to finally declare with every fiber of your being, my life is not a dress rehearsal. This is the main event. And I will not leave this stage with my song still trapped inside of me. The act of taking out your journal, of putting your goals on paper, is the first, most powerful act of defiance against the life of default. It is the moment you stop hoping and start commanding. We have now stared into the abyss of the unlived life. We have seen the quiet tragedy of the drifter. We have diagnosed the sickness of passive hope. And we have arrived at the only possible logical conclusion, that a life without a design is a life wasted. Now that we fully understand the stakes, the magnificent possibility of a life by design on one hand, and the haunting tragedy of a life by default on the other, there is only one thing left to do. We must make the final, unwavering commitment. We must begin the work today of building your life by design. My friends, we have traveled a great distance together on this extraordinary journey. We began on the crowded, well-trodden path of the drifter, and we made the singular, life-altering choice to step onto the narrow, challenging, and infinitely more rewarding path of the architect. We have stood together on the precipice and stared into the haunting abyss of the unlived life. We have seen the quiet, heartbreaking tragedy of the drifter, whose life story is a library of empty pages. We have diagnosed the seductive, soul-numbing sickness of passive hope, and with that stark, sobering reality burned into our minds, we now return to the path of the architect, not with fear, but with an absolute, unshakable, and final conviction. Today, our purpose is to synthesize all that we have learned. It is to take the individual tools we have forged and assemble them into a powerful, cohesive, and lifelong philosophy of living. And it is to arrive at the final, unavoidable moment of truth, the moment of unwavering command. Let us first for a moment look back at the journey and assemble the architect's toolkit. It all began with that fundamental choice, the one that precedes all others, the decision to move from a life of default to a life of design. We declared that we would no longer be the effect of our lives, but the powerful creative cause. This was the birth of the architect within us. With this new identity, we dared to face the exhilarating terror of the blank page. We engaged in the sacred act of creation, exploring the 6 dimensions of a well-lived life to draft our first magnificent blueprint, a treasure map filled with no fewer than 50 possibilities. But we learned that abundance without focus is chaos, and so we became master curators of our own ambition. We refined that vast list down to 16 foundational pillars, transforming vague wishes into powerful commands through the life-giving force of clarity. And yet, a blueprint, no matter how clear, is a lifeless form. So we then embarked on the most profound work of all. We breathed the soul into our creation. We discovered that a what without a why is a body without a heartbeat. We learned that the true engine of ambition is a powerful, multi-layered purpose. And we connected our plans to the 5 deep, inexhaustible reservoirs of the human spirit. With a clear destination and an engine burning with purpose, we then learned the practical physics of progress. We understood that the grandest journey is not completed in a single leap, but in a series of small, consistent steps. We mastered the art of building momentum, of manufacturing our own confidence, and of honoring our progress through the sacred and necessary ritual of celebration. And finally, we acknowledged that the architect must also be a warrior. We walked through the forge and learned that to build a resilient life, we must be willing to face the storm. We made the defining choice to embrace the constructive pain of discipline over the crushing tonnage of regret. We learned to reframe failure not as a verdict on our worth, but as a priceless seminar in the art of becoming stronger. Do you see? These are not 6 separate lessons. They are 6 interconnected gears in a single powerful machine for living. The choice to be an architect is the frame. The blueprint is the chassis. The clarity of your goals are the wheels. The why is the engine. Momentum is the transmission that puts the power to the road. And resilience is the suspension that allows you to navigate the rough terrain without falling apart. You need every single piece for the machine to function. Now that you possess the machine, you must learn the philosophy of how to operate it for a lifetime. For the work of the architect is never truly finished. The blueprint you have created is not to be etched in stone. It is to be drawn in pencil. It is a living document for a living being. You must understand the great and reassuring rhythm of life, what I call the 4 seasons of achievement. There will be a winter in your life. There will be times of difficulty, of disappointment, of loss. There will be times when your progress seems to halt. The drifter despairs in the winter, but the architect understands its purpose. Winter is not a season of termination, it is a season of preparation. It is the time to go inside, to study, to reflect, to strengthen your resolve, and to meticulously plan for the spring to come. Do not curse the winter, for it is in the quiet cold of winter that the most magnificent plans are born. And then, inevitably, spring will arrive. Spring is the season of opportunity, of rebirth, of action. This is the time to take your winter plans and thrust them into the fertile soil of the world with massive, disciplined effort. This is not a time for contemplation. It is a time for planting. It is the season to take the risks, to make the calls, to begin the new discipline. You must take advantage of the spring. After spring comes the long, hot summer. Summer is the season of cultivation. This is the time of relentless, patient, daily effort. You have planted your seeds and now you must protect them. You must pull the weeds of distraction. You must chase away the pests of negativity and doubt. You must water your ambitions with the daily perspiration of your discipline. The summer will test your resolve. It is the season that separates the amateur from the professional. It is where your character is revealed. And if you have planned in the winter, planted in the spring, and cultivated in the summer, then you will, without fail, arrive at the glorious fall. The fall is the season of harvest. It is the time of results. It is the time you reap the rewards for all your past efforts. This is your time for celebration, for gratitude, and for sharing the abundance you have created. And after you have enjoyed your harvest, what do? You wisely prepare for the next winter, for the cycle always begins anew, each time from a higher plateau. Understand this rhythm. Do not be frustrated when you are in winter. Do not be lazy when you are in spring. Do not be impatient in the summer. And do not be ungrateful in the fall. This is the wisdom of a lifelong architect. You must also understand that the person who sets the goals is not the same person who achieves them. The journey will change you. The person you will be in 5 years will be wiser, stronger, and more capable than the person you are today. And so, you must have the wisdom to review and adjust your blueprint. The 10-year goal you set today may be far too small for the giant you will become in 5 years. Have an unwavering commitment to your direction, your North Star, your purpose, but have a flexible and adaptable approach to your methods, the specific goals and plans you use to get there. And so, we arrive at the end of our conversation, and at the beginning of your new life, we have journeyed through philosophy, through strategy, through psychology. We have designed, we have planned, we have prepared. But all of this knowledge, all of this inspiration, all of this work we have done together is a completely powerless vapor if it is not condensed into a single drop of immediate, decisive, and committed action. The great dividing line between the drifter and the architect is the single word, now. The drifter lives on the tranquil island of tomorrow. Tomorrow I will start. Tomorrow I will be more disciplined. Tomorrow I will make the call. But they do not realize that tomorrow is the busiest day of the week. Tomorrow is a phantom. It is the place where dreams are sent to die. We have stared into the abyss of the unlived life. We have seen its quiet, soul-crushing tragedy. I am asking you, I am pleading with you, do not let that be your story. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The construction of the grandest cathedral begins with the laying of a single brick. I am not asking you to change your entire life tonight. I am asking you to lay one brick. I am asking you to make this your day of command. A day that you will mark on your calendar and remember for the rest of your life as the day you stopped asking for permission and started giving yourself orders. The day you stopped accepting the life you were given and started creating the life you were meant to live. Here is your command. Not for tomorrow, not for next week, for the next 24 hours. Pick one. Pick one of your most exciting one-year goals. Break it down. Ask yourself, what is the smallest, most insignificant, yet undeniable step I can take right now to move toward it? Is it to register the domain name for your new business? Is it to spend 15 minutes researching the book you want to write? Is it to put on your shoes and walk around the block? Find that one small step, and then, with all the conviction of a person whose future depends on it, because it does, I command you to do it. That single, small act of obedience to your own design is the spark of ignition. It is the first thrust that will break the grip of inertia. It is the most powerful vote you can cast for your new identity as an architect. Your future self is waiting. They are on the other side of a decade of discipline, a decade of growth, a decade of your design. And they are looking back at you right now, in this moment, and they are hoping, they are praying that today is the day you finally begin the work. Do not let them down. This conversation does not end here. It is a lifelong pursuit. If you are committed to this path, to surrounding yourself with the ideas that will challenge and inspire you, then I invite you to join this community of fellow architects. Subscribe to this channel. Let us continue to build together. Thank you for the gift of your time. Your life is your masterpiece. Begin